Hey everybody, Kevin here with your best Groove and Groove tutorials, and in just a moment I'm going to show you how to create amazing confirmation pages using Groove. But before we do that, make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss any of the tutorials coming out here at Groove Tutorials. Alright, so I had this question the other day, how I created this confirmation page. Now with Groove we have to create static thank you pages, and in this funnel I have two products. The first is a front end product and the second is an upsell. So you can see here on the page I have the Groove Member Mastermind for $297 and then the Groove AI Mastermind for $197. So this is a static thank you page that I created, so when somebody comes and purchases the Member Mastermind and for a special price purchases the AI Mastermind, this is the thank you page they're going to see. But the question was, how did I create this little invoice looking item here? And I'm going to go through that process with you today. But before I get into that, I want to show you with my amazing art skills what this looks like in regard to containers. So this is container number 1, and this is going to be the one that you can see on the outside of all of the other containers. So this is the one that we're going to shrink and make a container that is used to hold all of the other containers. So this is, if you will, container number 1. And then inside of this container at the top we have a container, and this container is going to be the one that is holding the text that says invoice total. So you can see here that I have a container that's inside a container, and inside that container is text. Then we have the next row, if you will, which is a container, and in this situation you're going to be able to see that we have it made up of 5 different containers. So here you can see that I've drawn 5 containers and each of them has their own text inside. So we got 5 containers inside of one container, which make up the headers for, if you will, the table of contents or the table of purchases. Now once we have that row in place, we can duplicate it so that we can get the information for the actual line items. So we're going to take that section and we're just going to copy it and duplicate it. And for the bottom one, we're just going to get rid of the first 3 containers because we only need 2 for the text that says total and then the text that is the total. So what we end up with is 24 actual containers, and you can take a look here. So I said 23 earlier, but it's actually 24 containers that make up the entire structure that's going to allow us to do this invoice on our confirmation page. So let's go over first of all, and we're going to pull in one new container, and this container is going to end up being the outside container. Now I have to tell you that in order to create this confirmation area, it takes 23 containers to make it work, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So the first thing we're going to do is, just so we don't end up needing to do it later, we're going to go grab a container and put a container inside the container, and that's actually going to be the first container that we've added. Now I'm going to go ahead while we're here, and I'm going to change the size of this so that it matches up. So I'm going to go up to the container that's holding it. I'm going to go to layout, and I'm going to go to vertical and center. All right, so let's go back to this one. Let's go to the size, and let's just match it up here, or as close as we can. Okay, so now we have it the same width. So that's the first step, is I put a container inside, and then I centered the layout of the first container so the second container could be shrunk, and then we're going to start putting containers inside of this one. So take a look at this drawing. This drawing shows you sort of all the containers that are involved. So you can see that in the drawing I have the outer container, which is this one that we just shrunk, and then I have a container at the top with 3 containers that's going to contain the header and the details of the invoice. And then inside of those 3 containers, there will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other containers. And then we have the final container at the bottom that only has 2 containers inside of it. And if you add those all up, I believe you come up with 23 containers. So what we're going to do first of all is we're going to put the containers in here that are for each of the rows in this invoice. So let's go over here to elements, and we're going to grab a container. Now what we're going to do, this container, if you look at the breadcrumbs, is inside of a container that shrunk, which is inside of the container. So I'm going to duplicate this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we got 1 here, 2 here, 3 here, 4 here, and 5 here. Those are the containers that we need vertically inside of this main container. Now you don't worry about the size of it, because once we start adding details to it, we're going to be able to resize it. Now, the first thing I need to do is in this top container, you'll see that I have text inside a container, which is inside this first top container. So that means I have text and a container, so I need a container to hold that text. So let's go again over, grab a container. We're going to go into this container, and we're going to shrink this so that it matches up this order confirmation. So let's go to the size, and we're going to shrink that down. Now you see that it's putting over to the left, so we're going to go to the container that's holding it, and we're going to go to layout. We're going to make it vertical and put it on the right. So how did I get the space around that? It's in the main container. So let's go take a look at that spacing. And you can see 20 above, 10 on each side, and 30 below it. That's just to push this text down the page. Let's go do that in this container at the bottom, which is holding all of these containers. So go to spacing. We got 20 on the top and 10 on the sides. All right, now let's go put the text. And for this example, I'm just going to grab this text and copy it so we're not pulling text in and formatting it. But I'm just going to duplicate this text piece and pull it down into this container. All right, so now we have a text element inside of a container. The spacing is inside of here. So again, we have 10 on the top, 10 on the bottom, and 10 on the sides. So let's go put that into, make sure our breadcrumbs were on the container that's holding it. And we're going to put the spacing all around it, 10. Now we're getting closer to what we have above. Now there are a couple of other things that we have on here. We have a border and we have a shadow. So the box shadow is medium, and then the border is 1 pixel, and I have kind of a grayish color there. So let's go do those things. On the container, we have to go to the container. We're going to go to the border. We're going to give it a 1, and I'm just going to use this gray right here because that's a recent color. And I'm going to take the transparency down on it a little bit. And then we also had the shadow, remember? So we're going to go down to the shadow, and it was medium. Let's go to this container. There's a little bit of more spacing on it. There's 20 below it. So let's go to the same container we have down here, go to spacing, and add 20 below it. All right, now we have our space between the two. Now I'm going to go ahead and do something else. You'll notice that the overall container up here has a border, as well as it has the spacing, as well as it has the shadow. Let's take a look at that one. So we already know the spacing. Let's go to the border. We have 1, and the color is, I think it's my dark blue. And so then the shadow is medium again. So let's go to the container that's holding everything, and let's just make sure. We're going to start at the text, go to the container, go to the container, go to the container. We have the one container that we're getting ready to put a border on, and we're going to do 1 again, and the color is going to be this dark blue. And then we're also going to go down to the shadow and again put a medium on it. All right, so you can see that it's starting to have the same structure that we have above. Now I noticed also there's white, so there's kind of a grayish on the background of the page itself. So let's also go put a background color of white on there. All right, and there we go. So now it's going to start looking like the one above. Now here's where it gets a little more complex, and let's go through this. So for every row that we're going to create for this detail down here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 containers. So let's go do that. We're going to grab containers and we're going to pull it down here inside this second one. Now I'm going to create 5 by duplicating them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But you see that's going down the page. So we're going to go to the container that's holding them. Now you can see the 5 containers being held by this container. We're going to change the layout to horizontal, and we're going to go ahead and just make sure they line up to the right there. So these columns at the top have different sizes, and we're going to go take a look at these to copy what we have. Now, just to be clear, I just figured this out by moving things around and choosing different pixels, and you're going to have to go through mobile optimization to check this and make sure it's working. But For right now, what we're going to do is copy the sizing. So first of all, we don't want to size the text, we want to size the container that's holding it. So let's go over here and check the size. So it's 82. So this container, we're going to create the size of 82. All right. What's this container? We're on the text. Let's check the container. The size is 595. So let's go size 595. All right. Now, what is the unit price? We're going to go to the container, check the size. We are at 211. So this container down here has some space. You can see on the outside of amount, and it's all one color. So let's put the background on it and check the spacing as well. So we have 10 on each end of this outer container holding these columns. So let's do that. We're going to go to spacing and put 10 on the outside. And then what we're going to do is we're going to change the background. So the background is going to be this light blue. And so now you see the background is there, but we've got to pull the text in. So for that, I'm just going to go grab this text. Remember, you don't want to put any spacing on your text. So let's do it this way, and let's go duplicate it. And I'm just going to pull this one down into here. Okay, go grab this one and pull it into the second column. We're going to grab this one and pull it into the third column, and you get the idea. All right, so look what we were looking for up here. Let's go take a look at one other thing. I think there's some spacing issues here on this container. Let's go take a look. Spacing, we have 15 after. So again, this was me playing around until I got it to look really nice. So I'm going to go put 15 after this. And now you're seeing that it's starting to line up with what is up there at the top. Let's change the color of this entire row for the text. So we're going to go up to the row itself, to the container that's holding everything, and change this to white for the text. All right, we're getting closer. Now something isn't right based on what we see down below. Let's go check the size of this again. It's 595. Let's go check the size of this container again. Again, we moved to relative to parent. This should be fixed with 595. So I either missed it when I did the job, or it's shifting it when I put the text into it. Let's check this one again. 211, size 211. And what's the quantity? Size 76. Size. This is not relative to parent. This is fixed with 76. All right, now we're getting them to line up like we did above. All right, so now we have our columns in place, and this is the first step. Now what I did, instead of adding a bunch of other containers, right? So for the next two, we just need this pricing. We need two columns with two more rows that have the same column size. So what I did is, instead of creating new containers, this is the container that's holding the 5 containers. I duplicated it twice, so I'm going to delete this. I just wanted you to see the containers. As a matter of fact, I'm going to also undo that duplication. We're going to delete that one because we need to change the background to white. Okay, so let's go to the background. We're just going to get rid of the color, and then we're going to go to text, and we're going to change it to black. Okay, so this is where I just typed in my stuff. So GMM, Groove Member Mastermind. All right, so we just put the quantity, and I'm going to need to do for this text is center it. And now you can see that it's centered under quantity. We've got your amount there. Now we've got one that we can duplicate. So I've got the container holding everything. I'm going to duplicate it and then fill it out. And that's $197. Okay, so you can see that we're starting to take shape here. What we need to do is put some space. So you see that it has some space after this line. That will be space that is under this container. Let's go take a look at what I'm talking about. You can see that we have 50 below that container. So we're going to go to that container, not this one, but this one. We're going to put spacing and put 50 below. That's going to give us the space. Now, what does this container look like? This is what I want you to see. So essentially, you can see that it goes the width. It is a full container, but it has only 2 columns in it. And the reason for that was so I could get color just in those columns. Let's go take a look at what we're going to do here. I'm going to actually go to this container and duplicate it. And you can see that it puts it down at the bottom, and we have extra space now, but I'm just going to change this to 494. I'm going to change this to order total, and we're going to fix that later. I'm going to delete this container, not the text, the container, because you could see up here we only had 3 containers inside. 1, 2, 3. So we have 1, 2, 3 containers. So we have order container. We're going to leave that one there. We're going to go to this and delete this container. We're going to go delete this text. All right, so now we have the same thing. Now, You notice that this empty container made everything too tall. So here's the way I fixed that. I'm going to undo getting rid of the Groove AI Mastermind. I'm just going to put 2 spaces in there. So now you can see we're getting closer, but you can see that the order total needs to be spread out. So what did we do? So this container up at the top, let's check the size. It is auto, and the spacing is 1 above and 1 below. Let's go to this container and check the size. It is also auto. And then let's check this container and check the size. This is fixed with 153. So let's go down here and let's change these. So this one is auto, this one is auto, and then this one was again 153. 153. So let's go to the container that's holding that. Let's change the size of that to 153. All right, so what's going on here? Why is it spreading out like this? Let's go take a look at the container to the left. The container to the left is 604. So where we have those 2 spaces, we're going to change that to 604. Fixed width 604. And then we're going to go to this and check the size. Now let's go take the layout for this bottom container that's holding these containers and have a look. This is horizontal and it's over to the right. Try that. Let's go to the container that's holding this. Let's go to the layout, make it horizontal. Okay, so we're getting closer. Let's look at spacing on this. So the one on the right is supposed to be 153. Let's go take a look at that container and change the size of it from automatic to 153. And boom, we're getting closer. This order total should be wider. So let's just go ahead and change the size to, okay. Now, there were some things that you see up here with the color. So what I did is on each of these, I'm going to show you some things that I did. So spacing is 1 above and 1 below for the text. Okay, normally I don't put, but I'm going to show you. I did that so I could get the 2 lines. So let's go spacing, and we're going to put 1 above and 1 below. I also put a border on that. So let's go to the border, and we're going to make it 1, and we're going to make it black. Now we're going to go up to the container that's holding it, and we're going to do the same thing. Put space 1 above and 1 below, and then we're going to go to the border, and we are going, I made a mistake on that. We have to get rid of the sides. We're going to put 1 and we're going to make it black. Let me go back down to the text and fix that border. We got to bring this down to 0. All right, so you should see 494 now has 2 lines above and below it. So we have to do the same thing for this text. So let's go to the text first, go to the border, above and below, we want 1, and it needs to be black. And then let's go up to the container that's holding it, go to the border, above and below, 1 black. Okay, we're almost done. We're going to go, I think we didn't have it black on the one. Let's go to the border, above and below. Yeah, let's go black here. All right, now we've got everything up above except this yellow color. And so that goes in the container. We go into the background. So this is color. We'll just copy that. Let's go down here. We're going again to the container because you see the yellow was in behind the lines. So let's go to the background. We're going to drop this in, check mark, and we're getting really close now. We're going to go up to this border, this background, do the same thing, recent color. All right, we are very, very close. We do not need this container, and the only thing we have going on now is we have too much space below this container. Let's go check the spacing. Remember, I duplicated it and it had 50. 0 space below. So let's go to this container, go to spacing. We're going to get rid of that 50, and voila. We have just created the same thing that we had above, and that is the way I did it. If you're interested in more information, comment below. But there you go. Hopefully this is helpful for somebody who wants to create a nice, fancy or nice looking order confirmation page for your sales funnels. Okay, everybody, there you go. That is the way to create a nice order confirmation page with Groove. I hope you enjoyed the video, and make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss any other videos that we're putting out here at Groove Tutorials. In the meantime, keep grooving and have a groovy day.